What is up, everybody, and welcome to my channel. If you are new around here, go ahead, leave a like on the video, subscribe. I'd very much appreciate that. But we are here today to rank these drivers in the F1 season so far, just in 2022. So their performance, we're going to rank them in 5 different categories. We've got excellent, solid, average, not great, and leave F1. I know that last one's a bit harsh, but we'll chuck it in there nonetheless. We've got 21 drivers here because we are including Nico Hulkenberg. Can't really rank him. He only did 2 races. I'll probably just put him in average. But we are going to be ranking every single driver's performance so far. And if you want to go ahead and leave in the comments what you think of my, I guess, assumptions, results, whatever you want to call it, or my tier list, I guess you could say. Comment what you agree with, what you don't. And I'll try and get back to your comments below. Anyway, let's get started. Nico Hulkenberg, he raced the first 2 races of the season because Sebastian Vettel had COVID. You can't really judge him on that. The Aston Martin wasn't very good at all, so we're just going to put him in average and basically forget about him. Valtteri Bottas. Now, Alfa Romeo, they had a great start to the season, and they kind of faded off a little bit. This Hungary Grand Prix, they found a bit more pace. I don't think he finished in the points in the end. I could be wrong. I think he ended up going on the hard tyres, and it didn't really work out. The hard tyres in Hungary was not the way to go. So poor Charles Leclerc. We'll get to it later. But I'd say he's had a solid season. You know, he's been basically the right-hand man to Lewis Hamilton for the past 4 years, and now he's got into the Alfa Romeo. And he is the guy now, with obviously Guan Yu Zhou, the rookie, coming in. He's almost taken him under his wing, and Zhou's had a pretty good start as well. But Bottas, I'd say, he has had a solid first half of the year. Scored plenty of points for Alfa Romeo, and he's got them in that fight. I think it's for P6. So if they can get P6, I think that'll be a very good season for Alfa Romeo indeed. Next up is Nicholas Latifi. It's not looking great for him. You know, he's been against George Russell the past 3 years, and George Russell, everybody's saying, is a future world champion, and you've seen this year he has shown that he does have that future world championship material in him. But Nicholas Latifi, Alex Albon comes in, you know, Alex Albon, who didn't get it going at Red Bull a couple years ago, comes in and basically out-qualifies Latifi, is outperforming Latifi on a consistent basis. So for me, as much as I feel bad, he's going to have to go and leave F1. I don't think he can even get in the not great section. I don't think he scored a point this year, and it's just his performances hasn't been good enough, especially against the likes of Alex Albon. Daniel Ricciardo, the next one on the list. I mean, everybody loves Daniel Ricciardo, and it pains me as much as it probably pains some of you guys to see him not performing as well. Yes, he's got it a bit more towards the end of this first half of the season, but nowhere near Lando Norris. Lando Norris is blowing him out the water almost. So for me, it's I would say I'm gonna go in not great just because I like Daniel Ricciardo, but it's on the cutoff. You know, obviously leave F1. No, he shouldn't leave F1. That's just where the tier maker is. But for the first half of the season, he's not performed well at all. Do I think he'll be at McLaren next year? Yes. I think they'll give him 1 more year, and then they'll be like, see you later, Daniel, unless he does unbelievable next year. But no, he needs to have a great or a good end or a steady end to the end of the season, consistent points basis. And then next year he really has to, you know, have a fantastic year at McLaren. That's if they do keep him. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just say, see you later, chuck him out the door. And maybe that's it for Daniel Ricciardo, but I think he'll be in F1 for at least another year, hopefully a few more, because he's a fantastic character on the grid. Next up, we have Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll, I've been relatively impressed with him over the past few races. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's up against a 4-time world champion in Sebastian Vettel, and yes, Lance Stroll has had the, you know, he's got his dad in F1, basically giving him all the money. That's why he's got a seat. But regardless of that, he's not done awful. You know, let's not say he's been in the bin like Nicholas Latifi or Daniel Ricciardo. He's done well. He's done better than Daniel Ricciardo against his teammate, in my opinion. But is he up to the average section? I can't really say that. so I'm going to say not great, just because it's tight between not great and average. But I'm going to go with the not great. But he has done better than I personally expected him to do this year. Next up, Pierre Gasly. I think Pierre Gasly's kind of been shafted a little bit with the AlphaTauri car. You know, they looked good at the end of last year. The AlphaTauri was constantly getting P6. He had a phenomenal last year. You know, if this was last year, he'll be an excellent for me. He was tremendous, but he's not got it going. Yes, he's picked up some points here and there. His car really isn't helping him out. So it's kind of hard to rate him, but I'm going to say not great just because, you know, he's getting knocked out in Q1 a lot, not scoring many points. Yes, again, it is the car, but, you know, it'll be nice to see him maybe get up there a bit more. Maybe in the second half of the season, AlphaTauri can figure something out because, you know, seeing how well we did last year, it's a big shame that he's at the back of the grid once again. Next up, Charles Leclerc. This is a tough one because, yes, phenomenal driver. He has made some mistakes this year, but also Ferrari strategists, they've made some mistakes as well. I mean, it's probably best we don't go into the strategy side of things, especially after Hungary and France. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Ferrari. Monaco as well, they screwed Charles Leclerc. But, you know, here's the thing. After Hungary, I'm not sure I can give him a solid rating. I think I'm going to have to put him in average. Now, I mean, some people might disagree with this. They might be like, no, he's solid. Some might even say excellent, but I can't say excellent at all. He's in, you know, arguably the fastest car in the grid. He should be right there with Max Verstappen. But, you know, things have gone against him. But if he wins Hungary race today, maybe he would have gone in solid. But for me, he should be in the title fight. He's nowhere near it with Max Verstappen. He is far, far out of it. It's basically Verstappen's title to lose. If Verstappen loses this title, it'll be, you know, catastrophic for Red Bull and Verstappen. They should have the Constructors and Drivers' Championship pretty easy from here. So I'm going to have to go average for Charles Leclerc because he should be fighting for the title and he is way, way off it, you know. At this rate, if Mercedes pick it up, they're going to beat Ferrari in the Constructors. It's just, I don't know what's going on at Ferrari, but it's not great at all. Anyway, the next one we have is Sergio Perez. And same with him, you know. He was up there with Verstappen and Leclerc at one point. He jumped Leclerc and was like, what, 15 points, 20 points behind Verstappen. And then it's gone downhill again for him. I'm going to put him in average. Did this 3 weeks ago, he would have been in solid. But he's had poor performance in France, you know, and also a poor performance now in Hungary. And he is not matching the pace of Max Verstappen. Is it the new upgrades that the Red Bull have put on? Has it suited Verstappen more than Perez? Maybe. But, yeah, a little bit disappointing for Perez in his bid for the Drivers' World Championship. But he is there for Red Bull on a consistent basis to get, you know, good points. And Red Bull are going to win the championship because Perez will get consistent points and Max Verstappen will keep winning races. But, you know, qualifying performance like in Hungary, didn't even get out of Q2, for example, in what many believe is the fastest car on the grid, right up there with Ferrari. Next one we have is Mick Schumacher. This one's tough. You know, he got points in Silverstone and follow-up points in Austria, I believe it was. He was very fast in Austria, actually, and should have got points in Miami, but had that crash with Sebastian Vettel. I'm going to put him in average. I think he has had an average season. Not too bad. He struggled to get into it. Didn't get points for many, many races, and that was kind of haunting him. Got points in Silverstone. Now he's kind of getting into the flow of things a little bit more. I think this is a big season for him, and he's done okay. You know, it's you get Kevin Magnussen as your teammate. Used to race for Haas, fabulous driver. That's a tough battle right there. You know, you go from Nikita Mazepin to Kevin Magnussen, and I think he's done okay. The second half of the season is going to be big for him, but I think his spot in F1 is pretty safe for next season. Next up, we have Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso, took him some time to get going this year, but I rate Fernando Alonso very highly. I think he's a fantastic driver. But again, I'm going to have to put him in average. I can't put him above that just on the basis that Esteban Ocon is outscoring him in every race, or well, not every race, but outscoring him on a consistent basis. That's basically it. You know, Fernando Alonso, fantastic driver. He's getting back into it. You know, he is scoring good points, but for me, it's just an average season for him. A two-time world champion, you would expect to probably have more points than Ocon. So maybe lucky not to go not great, but I think he's done good this season, and we'll keep him in average. Lewis Hamilton, a few weeks ago you tell me this, not great. You know, it would have been a poor season, but he's had, what, I think it's 5-6 podiums in a row now, and that's what you get from a 7-time world champion, isn't it? You know, you think he's down, he doesn't lose his talent. This is Lewis Hamilton. I'm going to put him on average though. I can't put him any higher just because he's getting outscored by George Russell. You know, George Russell, first time in a top car, outscoring his teammate. But I can't put Hamilton any lower because he scored 5-6 podiums in a row when you've got Ferrari and Red Bull on the grid. Back-to-back second places. I think Hamilton's going to potentially finish second overall in the Drivers' Championship, because if they upgrade that Mercedes car, he's bound to win races at the end of this year. I don't see him not winning a race in 2022. I'll be very, very surprised if he doesn't. But he just looks so good. I mean, in Hungary today, he was rapid on those softs in the last few laps, and to drive from 7th to 2nd is a fantastic result. I think there's still more to come from Lewis Hamilton. Next up, we have Carlos Sainz. Once again, he's another one that started off with a tough year. We're going to put him in average. I don't think Charles Leclerc has done much better than Carlos Sainz. When, you know, you say Charles Leclerc's in a title fight, Carlos Sainz is way behind. Well, look at it. You know, Ferrari, yes, they've not done either of them any favours with the strategy, but Leclerc's started making more mistakes. Well, Sainz made a lot of mistakes at the start of the year when Leclerc was consistent. Now it's kind of flip-flopping, and Carlos Sainz is becoming more consistent. Again, in Hungary, great qualifying from Carlos Sainz, and finishing P4, Leclerc P6, poor result for the team. But I think Carlos Sainz has done very well in the latter half of this first half of the season, so I'm going to put him in average. I think him and Leclerc are going to be around the same towards the end of the season. Leclerc's feeling the title slip away, and Sainz is gaining more confidence, so that's why I'm putting him in average. Next up, we have Guan Yu Zhou. This one is tough for me. He's a rookie, yes, but he's been outscored heavily by Valtteri Bottas. As a rookie, I'm going to put him in average. It's very close. I'm going to put him in average. I am surprised with how well he is doing in that Alfa Romeo. I thought he was going to be way, way off it. But I think he's beaten Bottas in a couple of races. He's out-qualified Bottas in a few races. I've been impressed with Guan Yu Zhou. I mean, I think he had a great qualifying in Silverstone as well. And then obviously that accident occurred. It was a crazy accident, thankfully he's fine, but I think he's had a good season. We're going to put him in average, and I'm excited to see more to come from him in the second half of the year, but also onwards, because he seems like a decent driver. I've been pretty impressed. Next up, we have Yuki Tsunoda. He himself was surprised that he had a seat this year after his poor performance last year. I think he's done better. You know, he's been closer to Gasly, but again, AlphaTauri, not been a good car, and again, I'm going to have to put him in not great with his teammate. I don't think he's done better than Gasly, so I can't really put him in the average section, but I'm going to put him in not great with Pierre Gasly. It's a tough year for AlphaTauri. I think they just need to regroup, come back again next year. I hope they get better upgrades. I want to see Pierre Gasly, you know, fighting up the front, but yeah, it is what it is for AlphaTauri. It's been a tough year for them. Next up is the reigning world champion Max Verstappen. He's a phenomenal driver. Excellent, of course. I mean, you can't put him in average, solid. He's been unbelievable. I think it's, what, 7-8 wins this year? First half of the season. Basically almost got the Drivers' World Championship sewn up, in my opinion. I don't see anybody catching him. Single-handedly, well, I wouldn't say single-handedly, but he's put Red Bull in a very, very big comfort zone in the Constructors. I think over 100 points now from Ferrari, or it's around 100 points. So yeah, he's just been incredible. He's going to be a two-time world champion at the end of the year, in my opinion. But it will be exciting to see, you know, 3 teams fighting in the second half of the year, hopefully. Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. And really, I could see it just be Red Bull and Mercedes. Ferrari will find a way to screw it up every race. But no, Verstappen's been really, really good this year, so I'm going to put him in excellent, and he might even be the only driver that gets it. Next up, we have Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen, when he came back to F1 for Haas, I was hoping Haas would have a competitive car, just so we could see him again, because he is an aggressive driver, very good driver. You like watching him race. Solid. You know, he's been a solid driver this year. I can't put him on the same level as Mick Schumacher. He's been better than Mick Schumacher. Scored good points for Haas at the start of the year. Basically was getting those points on a consistent basis and was the only one scoring points, putting Haas further up the Constructors. And without him, if they had Mazepin instead of Kevin Magnussen, Haas, they wouldn't be up there. I believe they'll be 9th in the Constructors, not 7th, which I believe they are right now, behind Alfa Romeo. So it'll be a good battle between Alfa Romeo and Haas, and we'll see what happens. Next up is Sebastian Vettel. Obviously, a couple of days ago, he announced that he is retiring at the end of the year. That's sad. You know, we all love Sebastian Vettel. No one wants to see him retiring. I'm going to say he's had an average season. What's impressed me the most about Sebastian Vettel, he'll have awful qualifyings. You know, it'll be Q1 exits. Lance Stroll would out qualifying at times, but constant Q1 exits from Aston Martin. They're not very good in qualifying. But the race pace of the car, Sebastian Vettel, he's got very good racecraft. He navigates his way through, and he's been scoring points that way. And so I've been impressed with Sebastian Vettel in that way. But again, Sebastian Vettel, 4-time world champion. Of course, he's going to be really good at racing. But I'm going to put him in the average section. Hopefully, we can see him get more points towards the end of the season. He's not going to get a podium, unfortunately, or very, very unlikely. We'd love to see him get one last podium, but I doubt seeing that happen. But he's been a fantastic driver, and it is sad to see him leaving F1. Next up, Lando Norris. You know what? I think we have to put him in excellent. I really do. You know, he's outperforming his teammate by a country mile. Now, don't get it wrong. Daniel Ricciardo, he's what, a 7-time race winner, 8-time race winner. He has won many Grand Prix. He's up against Lando Norris. Lando Norris never won a Grand Prix. You know, I think it's 4th year in F1 or 3rd year. No, it's his 4th year in F1. He's out qualifying Daniel Ricciardo. Big. It's huge margins, you know. Every race, he's getting consistent points. I think except for a couple. He's been phenomenal. You know, last year he was phenomenal as well. And I think that's Lando Norris. He has to go in excellent for me just on the basis where his car is at. To how he's performing. So Lando Norris joins Verstappen up there, and you know what, we're going to make that 3. George Russell, excellent as well. That Mercedes car has been the 3rd best car all year, and maybe now they're getting a lot closer to Ferrari and Red Bull. They can compete, but for him to get in the top 5 in every single race except for Silverstone, where he crashed out on the first corner, is quite frankly incredible. You know, outscoring Hamilton so far this year, outperforming Hamilton, especially at the start of the year, and now he's got a couple podiums to his name. He's got pole position in Hungary. How can you not put this guy in the excellent category? Fantastic season for George Russell, and this Mercedes duo will be very fun to watch, especially when their car is right up with Ferrari and Red Bull, which it kind of has been in the past couple of weeks. They've been able to compete with them. I still don't think it's as fast as Ferrari and Red Bull, but they've been able to, you know, pick up on the mistakes that the other teams are making, and you see him on the podium back-to-back weeks. It's impressive. It's impressive, and I think George Russell deserves that excellent spot. Next one we have is Alex Albon, and for Alex Albon, he's got to go in solid. You know, he's had a solid first year at Williams. I was interested to see how he was going to do. I think, like most people, I thought he was going to outperform Nicholas Latifi, but you know, he took a year away from F1. Last time he was in F1, he was in a Red Bull, you know, a faster car at the front of the grid. How is he going to feel coming back to a Williams? Yes, he should have the fire in him to try and show to everybody that he can race in F1. A lot less pressure when you're racing at the back of the grid. But he's put in some phenomenal races. I think the best one for me was in Melbourne, Australia. You know, he did, what was it? It was pretty much the whole race on hard tyres, switched to the softs on the last lap and got a point for Williams. So Albon, he's done very well this year. Solid. He's a solid driver for Williams. But sadly, I don't think it'll be enough to get him out of P10. Last but not least, we have Esteban Ocon. Like I was saying earlier, he's been outperforming Fernando Alonso. Very, very consistent. I have to put him in solid. You know, he's a fantastic driver. I've rated him highly. And yeah, there's not much to say other than consistency. You know, consistently scoring points. P5, P6, P7, P8. He's picking up points when other teams, the top 3 teams are messing up as a DNF. He's there to pick up the pieces for Alpine, and that is very, very important in a battle that they're having with McLaren. So it'll be interesting to see McLaren, Alpine, who's going to get the better of it. Maybe I'll do another video on that if you guys enjoyed this one. But there is my tier list for the first half of Formula 1 in 2022. If you agree or disagree, go ahead in the comments. Comment what you agree with, comment what you disagree with. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy watching. And please make sure you subscribe as well, because it will mean a lot. If you guys also want to watch F1 content, I do upload on a regular basis on the F1 game. I mean, there's a few bugs and glitches here and there, but I'm still playing it. So go ahead, leave a subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.